Hey guys, welcome to another MapleStory video. Today is the Pathfinder class guide. It is well overdue. I just wanted to make sure I knew exactly what I'm doing with the class before I actually go into it, because to be honest, I still have no idea how this class works. But you know what, we're going to try anyway, and if it works, then it works. If it doesn't work, then I'll make a new one later. But yeah, we're going to go over the Pathfinder as a class, talk about all of their skills, what you want to aim for in the V matrix, things like the legendary ability, your link skills, the same stuff that I did for the Dual Blade, the Luminous, Demon Slayer, Xenon, all that stuff. Okay. So, we'll go right into it. We'll start off with the beginner skills, and actually, I decided today to pick up a Scarecrow summoning sack because sometimes a dummy might be helpful with doing things like bosses, because dummies are registered as bosses, and Pathfinder has a few different interactions that are determined if you're attacking a boss. So we do need this actually for later. Let's go over the beginner's basics. Because Pathfinder is technically speaking an adventurer class, they do get the same stuff. The 3 snails, recovery, nimble feet, blessing of the fairy empress's blessing, you get this from other adventurers, you get this from Cygnus Knights. And Will of the Alliance you can pick up somewhere else, and these are all just event stuff. Let's move into first job. Okay, so Pathfinder is similar to the likes of Demon Slayer, similar to the likes of Kadena, where their main attacking skill at the first job evolves over time. Actually, all of their skills evolve over time. So first of all, we'll talk about Kris Dampening, which gives you a bonus critical hit rate of 2% per level, accumulates up to level 10, so you do get a 10% increase. The Ancient Curse is fully released when you have a 4th job Perfect Relic or the level 100 Perfect Relic. I actually haven't noticed this too much because it's always been there ever since I got my Pathfinder to 4th job, and it gives you an insane amount of critical hit rate. You get 20%. Moving on, your first attacking skill, Cardinal Deluge. It fires a blast from an arrow that deals 90% damage 4 times on up to 4 enemies. Cardinal Deluge upgrades over time with your 2nd, 3rd, and 4th job skills, which looks something like this. It's not shooting anything right now, however, if it comes in contact with an enemy, it will shoot arrows that target those enemies, so it's like heat-seeking missiles almost. Let's try it on a few more. There you go. It's a very interesting skill, I kind of like it. It attacks right now 5 times just because of a passive skill that I implemented in, I believe, 3rd job. Let's head all the way back up. Okay, double jump. As usual, every class has a flash jump at this point. It's a single flash jump, unfortunately, because archers only get a single flash jump. As compared to pirates, some pirates get 2 flash jumps, other pirates only get 1. It's a relatively respectable distance. Archery Mastery, you gain 120 attack range from your bow, which really doesn't matter because it's just your basic attack. And then you get 30 movement speed, and the movement speed cap increases to 160%, so you walk just a little bit faster, but it really doesn't matter because you have flash jump. And Forceful Shot gives you 40% crit rate at first job. That's pretty overpowered. Now, second job, this is where the class starts to get really fun. Relic Charge, you have a relic over here or another gauge. As you know, all gauge classes work based around that gauge. And it has a maximum relic charge of 1000, and every time you use a Cardinal Force ability, which is indicated by the name of the skill, or if you just hover over it, it'll say Cardinal Force. Using Cardinal abilities will increase the gauge up, and then using Ancient Force abilities will lower the gauge. It'll consume the gauge. And this is just to let you know how much you get from each one. Also, by comboing your Cardinal Force abilities, you get to use your Ancient Force abilities much faster. Kris Dampening 2 is similar to Kris Dampening 1, where it essentially makes it easier for you to get better stats. So for this one you get 2% defense, so this one you got 2% crit rate, and this one you get 2% defense. Cardinal Deluge Amplification amplifies your previous existing Cardinal Deluge skill by giving it a lot more damage, better mobbing capability, and if it's attacking a boss monster, it fires 1 more arrow, so it attacks twice on bosses. And then it should make the animation a lot bigger. The animation does not look this big when you have it in first job. Cardinal Burst is go ahead and use it real quick. It's the 2nd Cardinal Force skill that you have, and it shoots out a giant burst in front of you that explodes in an area kind of like this if you follow my mouse cursor. So it has good horizontal range, horizontal coverage, and it has amazing vertical coverage. Once again, it does not look this big at the very beginning because you do have amplification skills for your other Cardinal skills, but that's kind of what it looks like. And it does a decent amount of damage when the arrow explodes. I should also mention that the arrow does stop upon hitting the first target, so it'll either attack in front of you or when it travels its maximum distance. It looks short range, but it actually has really good range coverage. Swarm Shot is your first Ancient Force ability, and it shoots out a piercing bolt that deals kind of like fragmented grenade damage on other mobs near it. It shoots out homing arrows that target nearby mobs, so if you attack a lot of mobs with the first initial piercing attack, it'll shoot out like 16 more attacks, which is really cool. So I'll show you right now. Try to see if we can go all the way to the bottom where a lot of mobs are. And here we go. So there's a whole bunch. We're going to use Swarm Shot right now. And for every target it passes through, it releases more magic arrows that attack other mobs. Pretty valuable skill. It looks pretty weak and underwhelming at first, but it actually is very, very good for clearing out waves. Because overall this attack can hit up to 24 mobs because it attacks 8, which is the maximum, and then it can attack up to 16 more mobs. It's a really powerful skill, and it does a decent amount of damage. Not like the most amount of damage ever, but it's serviceable, you know? You can definitely make a lot out of it. Swarm Shot will consume 50 Relic Gauge. We have Ancient Bow Boost. Pretty decent animation, but it is a booster skill. You've seen it before. Ancient Bow Mastery is your first mastery skill. It gives you 30 attack power. Alright, Bountiful Deluge. Now this is where Pathfinder starts getting really cool with the combos. Every time you use a Cardinal Forces ability, the emblem on your gauge will change. So as you can see right here, if I were to use things like Bountiful Deluge or Cardinal Deluge, it'll change the emblem to a Deluge emblem. If I use Cardinal Burst, it changes it to a Burst emblem. If I use Cardinal Torrent, it will show you the Torrent emblem. The cool thing about Bountiful Deluge is that it allows you to chain your skills together in alternating fashion to give you bonus effects. So in this case, if you use Cardinal Burst while the relic displays a Deluge emblem, there's a 40% chance to create 3 magical arrows. And magical arrows, as we've seen so far, is the after attack effect for Pathfinder. It's similar to the likes of Night Lord's Mark, Nightwalker's Shadow Bats, or Bowmaster's Flame Arrows. Let's go ahead and try that right now. We have the Deluge emblem. We're going to go ahead and use Cardinal Burst. And see if we can get lucky. It's a relatively low chance, but here we go. So we just used it right now and it sends out 2 more magical arrows. We'll try to use it one more time. Okay, let's get further down. Nope. Nope. Okay. But you guys get the idea though. It's just essentially by alternating your skills together, you can create magical arrows that shoot out and attack other mobs behind you or in front of you. Now, this is where the special part of Pathfinder comes in. I should just also mention that physical training, like every class they have one. Cardinal Burst must be macroed with Cardinal Deluge, because since you get a passive bonus effect from alternating them in between each other, you use Cardinal Burst and Cardinal Deluge, it allows you to spam Bountiful Deluge just by pressing one key. So as you can see right here, just by mapping a macro out, you want to put Cardinal Burst first rather, and then Cardinal Deluge second. And by doing so, you'll see your emblem change very quickly. And that allows you to chain a lot of your attacking skills together. I'm actually going to teleport to, well, I gotta get out real quick. It's a lot easier to use on a boss, and this is where you can start chaining. You see a whole bunch of magical arrows that are flying out. It's doing a lot of damage to the target. Very, very beneficial for maximizing your DPS. Alright, Kris Dampening 3, this one gives you status resist, 2% per level, and reminder once again that when you fully max out, when you get out of the Ancient Curse, you can get all these stats permanently on your Pathfinder at all times. Cardinal Burst Amplification is an upgrade to your Cardinal Burst skill, and then that's when it kind of looks a lot bigger and it looks a lot cooler. It also increases the amount of damage that you deal if you're hitting just a single target. Cardinal Torrent is the 3rd and final Cardinal skill, and it unleashes a whirlwind around you. However, if you input a directional command such as left, right, up, or down, not downwards rather, but left, right, or up, it'll teleport you in that direction. It's not actually a teleport, it still technically is considered a dash, so you can't blink through certain attacks, but it's a very fast instant position travel attack. And the way it works is that it is based off of an ammo system. So every 7 seconds you get a Swift Strike charge up to a maximum of 5. So there's a limit to how much you can spam this ability. It does a decent amount of damage and it's a very useful ability, one of the best in-fight mobility skills in the entire game, because you can just spam it and you can use it in every different direction. But just remember that since it's a dash ability, it halts all momentum. Triple Impact is your 2nd Ancient Force attack. It costs 50 Relic Gauge, and it propels you upwards, or if you're already upwards, it then shoots bolts at a diagonal downwards angle. So let me go ahead and show you. If you're on the ground, it will automatically jump you up. However, if you're above ground, or if you're already in the air, it will suspend you in air. So I'm going to jump down and use it again. It has a cooldown of 10 seconds, so hold on. And we'll jump down. There you go. Triple Impact shoots 3 bolts that attacks up to 5 times on up to 4 enemies. However, all 3 of those bolts can attack a single target, so you can deal 15 lines in a single attack. Shadow Raven, all adventurer archers, of course, come with a bird. The bowmasters get the phoenix, the snipers get the frost prey, or the marksmen get the frost prey, and Pathfinder gets a Shadow Raven. Very edgy looking raven, so we'll bring him closer. We'll attack this guy. and it just creates a small whirlwind in front of it, nothing too special. Good skill though. It does increase your defense by 30%, but that 30% defense boost is kind of negligible. Curse-bound Endurance is a buff that when used, it gives you 30 status resistance and status resistance again. It's really not that useful because status resistance is kind of like a terrible skill. It's still worth like putting up as a buff just in case, but like I said, not the best. Although it does give you 30 base status resist and 30% elemental resist. Guidance Ancient. So as you know, by using your Ancient Force skill, you deplete your relic gauge, but if you can fill your relic gauge up by 1000, it's not like over a period of time. So it's just if you fill your relic gauge up by 1000, you get 15% final damage for 30 seconds, that's a big buff, and it also heals you for a small amount. Also, it does give you more HP and final damage by 10%. So Pathfinder, one of the squishier classes, you know, and compared to all the other classes, but in terms of bowmen, they're one of the tankier bowmen. Bountiful Burst. When using Cardinal Deluge while the relic displays the burst emblem, now you know why you want to alternate these two attacks together, because using Cardinal Burst while the Deluge emblem is activated will give you a bonus. Likewise, using Cardinal Deluge while Bountiful Burst is active will give you a bonus as well. And that's how you, if you just, by spamming a macro and alternating those two abilities together, you get huge amounts of lines. In Bountiful Burst's case, the magical arrows will create homing explosive arrows that explode when they hit a target. Evasion Boost gives you 30% dodge chance, so Pathfinders do have a good amount of avoidability, and every time you dodge an attack, for 1 second all attacks will be full critical hits, but it doesn't really matter for Pathfinder because you get such high critical hit rate. Speaking of crit rate, Archer's Essence gives you 10% crit rate, 20% damage, and 30% ignore defense, so Pathfinder has great armor penetration. Moving on to 4th job, Relic Charge 2 increases the relic gauge fill rate of your cardinal abilities. Curse Weaver is a stacking debuff that whenever you attack a target, it stacks a debuff on the target, which causes you to deal bonus critical damage to them up to 20%. So as you can see, just by attacking Kemti, there should be an icon that pops up on him soon. Let me see where it is. There you go. You see that little icon right there? Attack him a few more times. I see the curse icon got a bit bigger. I think that's the biggest it can go. It's just like the eye starts to glow, cause you to deal much more damage to the target. Okay, very powerful skill. This is where most of Pathfinder's like major DPS uptime comes into play. So make sure you stack up your Curse Weaver. Pretty easy to do because you just have to regularly attack, but it's just in order to make sure that you maximize your DPS, always have that at max stacks the whole time. Advanced Cardinal Force is another upgrading ability similar to Burst Amplification and the Deluge Amplification, but even further, it increases your Deluge to do more mobbing, more damage, your Burst to do more damage and more mobbing, and also have an increased, I believe, actually no, I think that's just it. It just does more damage and attacks more mobs. And then Cardinal Torrent gets upgraded too. Glyph of Impalement, it costs 100 relic gauge, it causes you to explode from your target location and attack mobs nearby. It does more damage for every stack of Ancient Curse debuff you have. I'm actually just going to use it regularly again. So it does about 280, 270 mil, but we're going to stack up the Curse debuff. Wrong way. Make it bigger, 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 bigger. Okay, that should do a lot more damage. 500 mil damage, we saw 500 mil there. So Glyph of Impalement is a very good finisher attack to use. It does a lot of damage on a fully cursed target. And Curse debuff stacks pretty easily, like I said. Let's go ahead and use it again, stack it up one more time. Come on. There you go. A little bit more. Okay. Now Glyph of Impalement. Oh no, not fully up yet. Okay, that's fully up. Boom, a lot of damage. Combo Assault. Now Combo Assault is an Enchant Force ability. So the way Enchant Force abilities work, and Combo Assault being the first one, is that the properties of the attack changes depending on which emblem you have. It also consumes the emblem so you can't use it again. You have to make sure you keep reapplying the emblem. So if you use Burst, Deluged, or Torrent, then it'll change the properties. As you can see right here, start off with a T, then it turned to B for Burst, then turned to D for Deluge, and each one has a different property. The usual rule of thumb is that Deluge is better for mobbing, Torrent is for speed, and Burst is for power, but I'll show you really quickly what each one does. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and start off with Burst. Burst causes you to deal a lot of damage to a single target, and then it creates an explosion that deals damage to up to 10 enemies 5 times. Let me show you right here. Relatively decently sized explosion. Now let's go ahead and use Deluge. We do have to wait a couple seconds because it has a relatively decent cooldown. Deluge is a mobbing explosion, in which it deals damage up to 5 enemies, and then the explosion is a much bigger radius and it attacks more mobs. It does less damage of course than Burst, but it's more useful for wave clearing. So let me show you. The explosion is way bigger, as you can see right there. The Torrent one is kind of like in the middle. It does a decent amount of damage, it attacks a decent amount of mobs, but this one inflicts 5 stacks of the Ancient Curse debuff, whereas the other two only inflict 1. So if you're trying to stack up the Ancient Curse debuff as quickly as possible, then you want to go ahead and use Combo Assault Torrent. But let me see if we can wait for it to go up. There you go. And then it instantly applies 5 stacks onto a target, or all targets hit. Regardless of which one you use, Combo Assault is definitely a very powerful ability. Enchant Force is a component of Ancient Force, so just by using your Relic Charge to lower the cooldown of your skills, as you can see right here, I'm causing Combo Assault's cooldown to reset much faster than normal, so I can continue spamming it. There you go. Oh, the dummy disappeared. We gotta get another one. Let's actually go ahead into the Adventure Island. Alrighty. Sorry this video is going really long, I just want to make sure I go through every single ability in much detail as possible. Buy another Chemdi, we'll summon him here I guess. There he is. Alright, Sharp Eyes. You've seen it before on a lot of bowmen. You get 20 crit rate and 15% crit damage. Maple Warrior you've seen before, Hero's Will I'm sure you've seen at this point. Bountiful Torrent, when using Cardinal Deluge or Cardinal Burst while the relic displays the Torrent emblem, your next 6 attacks within the following 7 seconds have a 40% chance to apply 1 stack of the Ancient Curse debuff. It also gives you more attack power. So this is the final combo chaining skill. It's similar to Bountiful Torrent, Bountiful Burst, and then Bountiful Deluge. As you can see right here, there it is. You have to use a Torrent emblem and then explodes, and it causes you to stack your Ancient Curse debuff way faster on a target. Ancient Archery increases your bonus damage of your Bountiful Deluge, your Bountiful Burst, and your Swarm Shot, a bunch of attacks basically. It also gives you more boss damage as well. Ancient Bow Expertise is your Bow Expert Mastery, it's 70%, 60 attack power, 10% crit damage, so Pathfinders we got a lot of crit rate and crit damage like most bowmen do anyway. Illusion Step, you see it also on every bowman or archer, 80 dex, 30% avoidability, and you get 20% reduced damage. Still not good enough to make Pathfinder like super tanky, but it does help a little bit. Hyper Skills. Sharp Eyes, which you see on all archers, there's Persist, Guard Break, Critical Chance. You have Cardinal Force, Reinforce, Cardinal Force, Bountiful Enhance, and Cardinal Force Extra Strike. You want to max out all 3 of these, 100%. Ancient Force Boss Rush and Ancient Force Guard Break, and then Ancient Force Enhance. You want to go, I usually at least go for Boss Rush and Enhance. Some people get Guard Break on their Sharp Eyes or higher critical rate, but because Pathfinders have such high base critical hit rate, I would much rather prefer to go this. Feel free to let me know if I'm statistically incorrect, but I think Ancient Force is a bit more consistent. Your active skill, which is, let's start off with Awakened Relic. It automatically fills your relic gauge up to maximum, which makes it very easy for you to proc your Guidance of the Ancients. Although if you already have max relic gauge, then it doesn't really matter. But there are many skills that consume relic gauge much faster. If you look at things like Swarm Shot, Triple Impact, or like Combo Assault, they don't burn your relic gauge too quickly, but some skills burn it much faster, such as Ancient Astra. It is another Enchant Force ability that shoots a huge like hurricane turret type deal, and I'm going to show you each individual one. TLDR. The Deluge one roots you in place and shoots a hurricane that deals a lot of damage and a decent amount of lines. So it's kind of a hurricane type skill, and it lasts for as long as the relic gauge stays full. As you can see right here is draining relic gauge. It does a lot of damage, a lot of lines. And then we're going to use Awakened Relic. It charges you out to maximum, and it also gives you more magical arrow after effect components. So like if I were to attack now, it shoots more magical arrows. There you go. Okay, so while we're waiting for this thing to finish getting off the cooldown, I don't believe, yes, okay, never mind, it does. Alright, so since Ancient Astra counts as an Ancient Force or Enchant Force ability, its cooldown can also be reduced very quickly as well. So being a hyper skill, with a cooldown that can be spammed relatively fast. Okay, now it's back up, we're going to switch to Torrent. Torrent is similar to Deluge, except it does, I think, slightly less damage, but you can move around with it. Unfortunately, you cannot jump, you can't jump down, nor can you change the direction, so you just gotta, you know, moonwalk or moondash. Let's go ahead and get the cooldown back up. A lot of people think that Ancient Astra is not nearly as potent or like I guess fast in terms of DPS as your main Cardinal Force chaining, which I do agree in certain cases, but it does have much better range. Burst, in my opinion, is my favorite one. It may not be the best one, but it is one of my favorite, just because, first of all, I do believe you get damage reduction when you have the skill activated. Yeah, while channeling the skill, you take 40% reduced damage, as well as it reduces % max HP true damage from bosses. So this is actually a very good tanking skill. The key can be held down for up to 15 seconds and intermittently launches a huge arrow at the designated angle. An insane amount of damage. Let me show you what it looks like right now. So you get a giant like crossbow almost, and it shoots a huge bolt that explodes onto the first target struck. You can also change the angle of this. Once again, you cannot change the actual direction, like I can't turn around. But it's got great range. It has huge reach too. If I'm going to go ahead and fill up my bar again real quick. I can attack this KMD from miles away. If I can see if I can get it. Alrighty, almost there. Good. Okay. So let me try to see if I can get the burst combo here. I can attack. Alright, so you can kind of see his microphone sticking out over there. You can still attack him from this range. Look at that. It's incredible range. In terms of which one does the most DPS in a period of time, I would say Ancient Deluge is a bit better because it creates additional magic arrows whenever an enemy is hit. But then Torrent is better for mobbing, and then Burst is better for just like long range sniping. Epic Adventure, you see on every adventure. Alright, video's getting long, we'll wrap it up. The V Matrix, so I'm gonna only go over the unique skills for the Pathfinder. I'm not gonna touch over the shared archer ones. Well, I can go over it really quickly. So you have 3 of them. Guided Arrow is a special, I should take away Holy Symbol for the time being. Okay. The way Guided Arrow works is that every time you attack, it'll shoot out an arrow that kind of like bounces in between. It's really hard to see because of the skill transparency, but you can kind of see it. There you go, it just keeps doing that over and over again. I don't know if you can do this on multiple targets. I think it only just shoots out 1 arrow, yeah. It's not bad. I guess it's helpful. I don't really think it's the most useful one. Then you have Fury of the Wild. So whenever you summon your bird, which every archer has, by using Fury of the Wild, summons a huge bird. And this one does a lot of damage, look at that. It's pretty cool, it lasts for a short period of time. It's definitely a powerful skill. I definitely recommend you get this on your Pathfinder. It's good for mobbing, good for bossing, getting extra DPS. Doesn't last very long, but it's pretty powerful. And the last one is Vicious Shot. I can't, I hate this word. It allows your critical hit rate to exceed 100% and converts a portion of that crit rate into critical damage. So I'm gonna go ahead and use it right now. Brings me up to 113%, and it gives me 23%, what is it, 23%? Or 26% of 113% turned into crit damage. It's a huge DPS buff, like incredible, absolutely insane. And it shares the same cooldown and duration, I believe, with Epic Adventure. Well, not the same duration, but it shares the same cooldown as Epic Adventure. What was that scream? Oh my goodness, my dorm is being really loud right now. Alrighty, now, let's take this off, because I don't like it. And put on the Holy Symbol. Okay, Nova Blast. It is the most powerful attacking skill I have ever seen on any class, period. It's a full map attack. It does huge amounts of damage. It does the most amount of lines in a single target. You're invincible while you're casting it, and you can increase the damage by up to double depending on how much relic gauge you have. It also does true damage. Look at this damage, okay? Let me actually go ahead and power up real quick. Alright. Full relic gauge. I'm gonna consume it really... I love living in a dorm. Don't worry guys, just give me like 2 more weeks and I'm gonna be moving into my own apartment, okay? Alright, just bear with me here. That was a strange scream. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and just shoot this right now. It's a very cool flashy animation. It does an insane amount of damage. Those are 1.8s to 2 billion damage with 3.7, 4.5 mil range. No class can do this much damage with a single attack. It's so powerful. It's a bit slow. People say it's not really the best for damage, but if you don't do cap damage with Pathfinder naturally, this is the best skill in the entire game. Raven Tempest. You might have seen this on a Wind Archer. It converts your Raven into a giant tornado that just attacks. You can also click it to change directions. Of course, it is currently stuck on KMD. Does a lot of damage. It's great range vertically, horizontally. You can see the Angry Bird over here. However, it consumes your Raven. So do not use Fury of the Wild and then use Raven Tempest, because it will delete Fury of the Wild and make the tornado. As you can see, it lasts for an incredibly long time. 25 seconds, I believe. So there's the skill. Sorry, I'm really annoyed by the sheer amount of noise that's coming out of... Oh my god, I'm almost... I don't know if the microphone is picking this up, but if it does, I'm so sorry guys. I'm tempted to just get out there and yell at them to shut up, but I'm pretty noisy at night myself, so I'm trying to, you know, I don't want to be pot calling the kettle black. Okay, sorry, I had to like wait for 20 minutes to see if they would quiet down. I think they are, so we'll try to finish it as quickly as possible. Now, Obsidian Barrier is the last ability for the V-Matrix, at least like the last unique 5th job skill for Pathfinder. It's a both defensive ability and an offensive ability, and Kemdi just died, so we have to get another one. They're wasting my coins by making me wait for them to stay quiet. Oh my goodness. So, Obsidian Barrier is the last Enchant Force ability, and Deluge grants a protective shield for your party. Burst enchantment is a huge explosive shield that pulses damage, and then Torrent shield is a smaller version of Burst shield, but you can move it around. So I'm going to show you each individual one. Let's start off with Deluge. Now, even though Obsidian Barrier is an Enchant Force ability, you cannot reduce the cooldown of it because it is a 5th job skill, and it provides you with a defensive shield right over here. It just makes it so that you can tank % max HP damage attacks such as Lucid's Bombs or pretty much every boss, and you give it to each of your party members. And I will see you guys in 3.5 minutes, or no, not 3.5 minutes, yeah, 3.5 minutes. Be right back. Alright, 20 seconds, this is a long cooldown. I'm gonna have to wait again to show you guys the Torrent enhancement. Oh well, price of making videos. Come on. I do apologize for how long this video is taking. I don't know how long it's going to be. I'm going to cut out all the outtakes and the time it took for my neighbors to shut up. But I think it'll still be pretty long because I did have to explain every single ability in as much detail as possible. Alright, so, Burst. Summons a giant eggshell, basically. This thing right here, and it causes huge amounts of damage to everyone in it. You still get the defensive component over here, I believe. Oh, just by being in the shield. You do get a defensive component. It's not nearly as strong as the Deluge shield, but it's still, you know, it still is a shield. And we wait another 3 minutes. Alrighty, actually while we're waiting, I suppose I can explain the rest. The skills that you want to go for on Pathfinder, attack speed is the most important one. At least in terms of the decent skills. You don't really need anything else. However, if you still want, you should still go for like decent advanced blessing, decent combat orders, that's also fine. Some people argue that rope lift is not necessary in a Pathfinder by nature of Cardinal Torrent being a vertical repositioning ability. But rope lift can travel much further than Cardinal Torrent, so I do recommend you use it. I just don't use it because I don't need to right now. Rope lift is a little bit better if you're playing like Spirit Savior as a Pathfinder. Everything else, we should talk about the V-Matrix trios in just a moment, but we have the Obsidian Barrier back up. Torrent is similar to the Burst Barrier, except you can reposition this one every 2 seconds. I think the Burst is just better. You want to use Burst if you're in a boss fight or if you're mobbing in general. Some people use the Deluge shield when bossing, especially to ward off against like a one-shot kill attack, because it's pretty beneficial. But I like to use Obsidian Barrier more for damage. Okay, now V-Matrix. I actually talked about this a bit in my Road to Pathfinder episode 4, so I'm going to stop right here. If you guys want to check out Road to Pathfinder episode 4 at the very... No, I'm kidding. I'll make one right now. So, the perfect trios, because Pathfinder uses all of her skills from 1st job to 2nd to 3rd, 4th, and 5th. Well, you don't need V-Matrix for the 5th. All of your skills can be intertwined. There are 9 total attacking skills, so you can make 3 types of perfect trios, or if you can interchange them if you want to. But the ones that you want to go ahead and make sure you have together are the cardinal skills, Deluge, Torrent, and Burst, and the other, you know, ordering of them. As for the other 6 skills, such as Triple Impact, Combo Assault, Shadow Raven, and then Glyph of Impalement, Ancient Astral Swarm Shot, you can change them around any order, any combination, any permutation you want. Just make sure you have all 6 of them, no matter what. I think the Triple Impact skill is kind of meh, but the more I use it, it actually might be quite beneficial for you to use. Now, Hyperstats. Since Pathfinders have a lot of critical damage and critical hit rate, you don't really need to prioritize this, but if you want to make sure you get the most out of Vicious Shot, then you do want to max out critical rate. You will get 10, 10, 10, 10, 10 if you reach level 250 anyway. And then everything else, you know, boss damage, ignore defense, just like these 5 right here, or these, there you go, these 5. Inner ability, I've heard you want to go for attack speed +1 to make it so that your rotation's a bit faster with the comboing. Pathfinder's macro is kind of server side, so if your ping is a little bad, you will lag a tiny bit, but it's still relatively consistent to get a lot of damage from your kit. Then you want boss damage, and some people actually would say critical hit rate's good because of being a bowmaster or just being an archer and getting vicious shot. I would say attack speed, and then boss damage. You do not need buff duration on Pathfinder, so don't worry about that. I think that's it though. Percent attack, percent boss, you do not need to worry about ignore defense. Pathfinders have huge amounts of armor penetration in their kit. You still want to get a little bit like the one I have on my emblem, but for the most part, your other like weapons and stuff, you want to make sure you go for boss damage and percent attack. That's it. Oh my goodness, this video is so long. It's 52 minutes long. It's not going to be that long when I edit it down, but just looking at the footage and all the outtakes I had to do and then all the noise my roommates were making. Okay. I'll end it off here, guys. If you have any questions, please be sure to let me know in the comment section below. I'll try to answer them. Or if you want to correct me on any mistakes I made, you can do that as well. But thank you guys all so much for watching, and I will see you again soon in the next video. Take care.